Hope we all had a wonderful day.
Yes,
Okay,
regarding sir.
yeah. So, what if I just called you guys out here to give you guys an April Fool? No class, so it's a prank. I know somebody like Larry will not take it lightly with me. So, guys, welcome again.
Why me, boss?
You look very serious, guy. You look so serious.
well, I hope you'll be saying the same thing after some weeks.
Yes, we all need to be serious individuals. So, welcome everybody. Um, my name is Chukwemeka Chidibere. I am a data analyst. I have been a data professional for quite some time, and recently it's been coming for a while. Uh, I've been trying to start up a community where we can help individuals, those in data, those starting out, to clean up some of the misinformation about the data technologies that are online and also help them to understand how to effectively use these data tools properly in their day-to-day business. So most of my experience working is in the retail industry, where I've worked with a QSR brand and also a nuts brand, and I've also worked with an GCM, that's a retail brand that's fast commodity goods. So during those time, I gathered a lot of experience, and I feel like it will be best if I can share these experiences with you guys. So I am not very good with English. Forgive my French. I don't know too much English. Okay. So what are we doing here? We are trying to understand businesses and their roles uh, as a data analyst in this business. We have a whole lot of different varieties of sectors where data analysts can actually work, and one of them is in the food service business. Why I picked the food service business or the retail line is because data in this sector flows like water. If you understand, data in certain retail businesses come per second, probably when they have multiple outlets. So I was working for one who had about 170 outlets, and you could imagine if data comes in from time to time. So we'll try as much as we can to look through it. So before we continue, I would like to make a disclaimer that I have no affiliation with KFC, and whatever information we pass on is just my experience and doesn't have anything to do with KFC. So moving forward, we will. So why do we need to understand the business before we move forward? Um, the business does not exist to support your data curiosity. Your sorry, somebody came in. Good. The business does not exist to support our data curiosity, but our curiosity exists to support the business. So, what does that mean? We, as data analysts, are there to support decisions. We're not there to tell them what to do. We are just there to help them realize that, oh, I can do better. I can actually achieve better. I can do more using data. I have an experience. There was a place I was working, and one of the management staff was a really data driven person, whereas the other ones were they were just lackadaisical about certain things. And once they come in, they tell you how they just want it. They don't care about information. So there was a time the business was running on an 80-20 scale. That means the other guys, because they were booming and they were selling very well, uh, they felt like they were the ones keeping the company running. Imagine when you hold 80% share of the business, everything comes through you. Whereas the other ones on the 20% scale, we are really data driven. First, they set a target, training everyone on how to use data to make information. Change some staff, brought in people that are data centric. Before you knew it, they were actually 40-60 as at last year. 40% to 60%. I'm not kidding you. Just because somebody chose that, oh, I want to be more data centric. So being data centric is really important for all of us. We should strive as much as we can to use every information that can help us. Without context, our analysis would be misleading. When I shared the KFC in the morning, I was expecting that some people will go around, make their research about KFC, know what they do, and kind of like inform themselves about the brand. Another thing too, for all of us that likes designing good and quite catchy dashboards, you go and check the color combinations, color codings of these firms because these are little key that will help you to actually excel in your designs, in your dashboards, and in your reports. So, um, also you need to understand how the business operates. Most of the times, yes, you're going to get the slide, Mr. Larry. You're going to get the slide. So most of the times you find out that businesses tend to run on a particular scale or on a particular line or chain of management. So it is best to understand what really happens in certain businesses like this. Let's take for instance, um, let's go to the operations department where you kind of like have the head of operations, you have underneath them, you have people called the regional operations managers. And what these regional managers do is that they have certain region clusters under them. Let's say they have the whole of South or the whole of the North in their region, and under them, they might still have other area cluster managers that could also have coverage of, let's say, like southwest, then another manager covering like southeast and stuff like that. So that's how the chain of command goes down. It trickles down. Then you can now have your operations managers that you see around the uh, stores. Those ones make sure the day-to-day running of the business is being handled properly. So certain times you find yourself making sure that people are in these different stratas get their reporting completely. Let's also look into the hierarchy of reporting in sales. Certain times we merge the operations and sales as well together uh, because they look more like the same. But certain times, different organizations with their different uh, strategy, they try to have a head of sales, they try to have sales performance managers that their job and their role is always trying to improve sales performance. So if you're in that kind of team, your every motivation will be to improve performance and sales performance. So moving forward to the supply chain, just like every team has a head. Yes, those heads they report to other people too. So I'm not going to call the other ones because we are not interested in those ones for now. You understand? But those in operations might as well be reporting to those heads of your departmental heads. So let's talk about supply chain. So in supply chain, you have your head of supply chain, you have your supply chain planner. Even inside the team, might have your demand planner. All these are ways and strategies to make sure that the food basket of every company does not go dry. The supply chain is actually an integral part of the food service business or any business that deals with that is in the retail line. Because let me be frank with you, the supply chain department works 1 week ahead or even a month ahead of schedule. Because imagine when you have to send in goods, and these goods sometimes have to stay 2 or 3 days in on the road. So you get to find out that you get to spend a lot of time trying to plan these things out. If these things don't move 1 week before, you're actually not going to sell a particular product. So as a supply chain data analyst, you need to make sure that you're tracking the fact that orders are coming from the stores and you're balancing it with the orders that are being sent to the stores. You're making sure that whatever is being sent is sent on time so that there is no stock out. So your role is very, very important. So within the supply chain, you can also have the pricing analyst and people they call buyers. Those people, their role they are the ones that receive these POs, the purchase orders, and they send them. They interact mostly with the stores and sometimes the regional managers so that they can make sure that each region that they are covering have products on time. The supply chain really has to do with time. Let's move over to marketing. Yes, as a marketing data analyst, you might have a marketing head, you might have your brand or campaign manager, you might have the marketing manager, marketing insight manager, and also a marketing data analyst. So your role there uh, would involve reporting to these people and the HR. I have a very bad name for the HR guys. I don't like saying it. They are the very strong engine room of every business. They are the most secretive. In fact, um, you in operations, if you have access to HR data, you would not see a lot more in it. In fact, it's more like a redacted document. So I call them, I don't want to use that word here. So they hide a lot. And the reason is because of confidentiality. It's not like it's something they want to do, but it's really important in the business hierarchy. Reason being that you hold a lot of information that could break the company. Yes, certain times you find out that somebody below you might be earning higher than you. And imagine that you're the manager of this person. What will you do? It leads to confrontation, leads to fighting, and where there are no peace in the organization, you tend to find out that there will be problem. Yeah, people will be unhappy. So that's why you see a lot of times they try to hide a lot of things. You don't need to know whose salary, who is going on vacation, who is doing what not, and any other thing. So they are really secretive, very secretive. And if you're going to work there, you work as a people's analyst. You would have to deal a lot with people's data. You tend to know a lot about the people working in the organization. So this is just discussing the business hierarchy. I don't know if there is anybody that has a question. If you have a question, we can just look into those questions a little bit before we move. No question. Okay. So, this is just like a summary. Now, uh, I'm going to share this slide with you. Let's look into exactly how each role interacts. So, the operations department is basically tasked with the finance team to support in um, creation of targets. Targets are really very important in businesses like this, so that it will motivate teams to do better than they already they already have working for them. So, as a data analyst, your role can sometimes be, if you don't take your time, especially when you know what you're doing, you find out that you're having a lot of work on your plate if you don't take your time. You tend to want to support finance in uh, trying to get these targets done. And let me be frank with you, as a business analyst, majority of the things you do, data business analyst and the rest of it, are just kind of like the peripheral part of statistics, the descriptive part of statistics. So when you start building forecast plans, uh, some of us that want to go a little bit further and start applying machine learning to try to build forecasts that will help teams to really actualize exactly what might be the forecast. But sadly, a lot of businesses don't really want you to use machine learning for their forecast. In fact, the board comes with the next year target and it trickles down from the top down to the bottom. What happens there? The board comes, okay, you guys made, let's say you made 50 million last year. Board says, no, this business have been going 20%, 20% on the budget, like you've been making 20% on the budget. This year, we are trying to inspire you to make 50%. What they want you to do is they want the budget to be 100 million. Your boss will come to you The budget is 100 million. It doesn't matter whether it's doable. It doesn't matter. They just want you to make sure that the budget is 100 million. At that point, if you try to forecast, your forecast, since you've been making 20% on your budget, and mind you, forecast actually looks at what has happened in the past and predicting what happens in the future. It doesn't give you a leeway to start adjusting things yourself. So 50% on budget can just be, oh, that's what we want. It doesn't matter. That's what we want. Mr. Mr. Suleiman, do you want to say something? Okay. So 50% on the budget is what the board wants. They don't care how you route that. They just want you to work on that. So what happens is from the board gets to your managers. The managers say, guys, it is 50% on the budget. In fact, our next year budget is 100 million. How are we going to achieve this? So it is now left to you guys to start apportioning it based on this target. This region actually makes uh, 20% of the budget, they will give them 20% of 100 million. Then this area makes 50% of the budget, they give them 50 million. In fact, what they can do is if the board gives 100 million, your bosses, because they don't want you to feel that, oh, it's just 100 million, they want to hit their own targets. They might say, okay, let's also make it 120 million, and we'll start working with 120 million in your mind. And you see everybody working so hard so that they will beat the 120 million. You start putting incentives to make you work very. Oh, so sorry, guys. Is my voice low? So sorry, I never knew my voice was that low. So they make you work over time, trying to beat the budget. So what next? Let's go into let's go into the roles of each data analyst and what you'll be concentrating on, and that's why we're here. So the role of an operations data analyst. When you get your data, each team would understand why it is being broken down into different roles. So your focus as an operations data analyst, you focus more on store level efficiency. What do we say about store level efficiency? Now, I made a post one time on X and I was trying to explain different departments have their different KPIs or different matrices that they like to see. In operations, you're involved in store level operations and efficiency. In fact, you are also into sales more. You're more into sales performance. You want to see how much profit each and every store is giving to you. You're involved in going to HR. HR, I don't like the fact that this store, the salary level in this store is above board. In fact, what I found out is that this store, even if they are making a lot, they are having a lot of revenue, their profit is low because you used a lot of staff that have big salaries and you kept them there. Invariably, it is now bringing down the profit level. Please throw some of these guys away. send them to somewhere else. Now, you also look at store level efficiency in the fact that which stores are in my grade A stores. What are your grade A? What are the criteria for you to measure your grade A stores? Are they stores that are making above, let's say, 10 million weekly for you? Are they stores that are making above, let's say, 5 million weekly for you? That's one kind of criteria you can use to apportion or categorize your stores. So there are other kinds of categorization method, which is mostly in tune to the supply chain guys or even operations. They call it the 80/20. Those who are making 80% or are driving sales up to 80% or profit up to 80%. So those ABC classification comes into play in that in those areas. So it is best to know the one that your department have been using, and sometimes it is also important to note that while you're there to work, you should be able to use your head when to talk and when not to talk. Imagine your supervisor tells you, I want to use stores that have that make 5 million as my grade A stores weekly, and you tell him that that's not logical. Let us use something else. There are ways you can deliver that, my dear. If you do that, you might go home the next day. In fact, you might end up having challenges. I don't know about some people, but some others will fight you until you eventually quit because they wouldn't want to see. Go on, please, Mr. Lauren.
Mr. Chidi,
Yes.
I'm really interested in understanding how the operations department works. So, from what you can see, I think because it's my department, that's like the Google forms I was sent. That's like the department I fall into. So,
Yeah.
are you saying that the operations is? I'm trying to summarize everything right now. So, are you saying that the operations is majorly concerned in the day-to-day running of the business as a whole? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
So,
Yes. Under you, or with you, not under you, because I don't know how high your category in the operations department will be. In the operations department, you can also look at what is happening in the stores. Therein, how much training have your staffs in those stores undergone, and how is it impacting sales? Is it helping out? Is it not helping out? It is operations. Operations is like the engine room of every business. In fact, you can be in operation one day and they send you to go and check out what is happening in supply chain because something faulty happened. Your role that time will be to analyze general, you're on a general scale. Yes, you're analyzing most things. I have worked in the operations department before, and at some point, I worked as a HR people's analyst. I worked as supply chain. I still went further. I worked as product. I checked product. We did marketing, branding. You just sometimes the role just comes because of you're in operations. Why it is like that is because you're almost close to the top management staff. Operations is more like top management staff, and when you're there, you kind of like take a lot of roles because of what they want to see immediately. Let me just say, okay, you've been the person they've known for quite some time as the data analyst that is close to them. It will be hard for them to say, okay, go and send the supply chain guy. I need something urgent. What they will do is they will send you. How you get it, they don't care. Just go collaborate with the supply chain data analyst, know what you want, give them the report so that they make their decisions. So in operations, you can actually work in multiple positions. That's why I removed the operations from sales. You're also very much in tune with what is happening in sales. You're very much in tune with what is happening in sales. You support daily operational decisions. In fact, as an operations data analyst, if a store is doing badly, you're part of the problem because you're in operation. So don't worry, they can ask questions. They can ask questions. So in sales, which is also part of operations, sales, a sales data analyst, because not all businesses will want to have multiple data analysts in their business. Reason being that they don't want to pay everybody. They can just take one and try to give you all the work, do all the work. If you have a question, please ask. Just raise your hand and I'll allow you to ask your question. There are certain times you would forget what you want to ask and it will be helpful to the entire group. So feel free to ask your questions. Although we would also have a question and answer session after the session. So in sales, you track a lot more on revenue, sales, quantity sold, growth trends, products, store trends, regional performance. How is this store doing? You just want to know anything that brings profit to the business. That's your end game. Certain times you're not really concerned too much about volumes. Who is concerned more about volumes are the supply chain demand analysts. They are more concerned about volume. In fact, most of the analysis they only match sales when they are trying to run a comparison of some sort. But what they are most interested in is volumes. So in sales and operations, we are interested in revenue. In supply chain, they are interested in volumes, quantities sold. How does it impact the quantities they will send to these stores? So that's why they are more interested in that. Let's move a little bit to in the supply chain. You be looking at optimizing costs of particular products. Um, there are certain products that are not often seen in the market and they are very expensive. As someone in the supply chain, you'll be able to track these products. When are they high? When are these prices going up? So that you tell your management or your line manager that this product is going high, so that it will also inform the pricing analyst. At this point, you'll be working close to the pricing analyst, but in some cases, they would want you to assume the whole role. You will be in supply chain and you also be the pricing analyst because once you observe that the cost of a particular product is going up, the prices in the stores should change so that you don't lose your profit margin. A lot of businesses set their profit margins to products to each product. So the raw materials can cost can be the 50% of the product price. That's how businesses work. I cannot come and sell to you and I'm losing. If I put it at raw material cost at 80%, that means I'm only gaining like 20% from every product I sell. So people don't like doing business like that. They want the fair share. In fact, why they open the business is to make money. And if you can't give them a lot of money, most of them will leave. So they strike a balance. We always want our profit margin to raw materials to be 50-50. Now, in case sometimes if the products are products that go up on a seasonal trend, So let's say during the December period, we know that rice goes up, and in that season, you know that rice comes up. The company might decide to, okay, this period is the time we sell a lot. Yes, we sell a lot. If we increase price at this point, it will impact our sales. What can the company do? They will bear the 10% increase, 20% increase that they have also infused on the price from way before. So they might now be running on, let's see how we'll reduce the quality a little bit of this meal and kind of like improve or leave the price as it is, or make something a little bit cheaper. You understand? So that it cushions those effects. So your role in the supply chain can intertwine with what the pricing analyst does, in the fact that you would be supporting the team to always come or arrive at a better price for each particular good. So you try to identify wastage, you track performance of suppliers. It is actually very hard to do this suppliers parts, because certain suppliers are actually your day-to-day market ladies. So it's very hard sometimes to track those kind of information. So if you find yourself in those kind of situations, you would know how to go about it. But it's not hard. I don't think there's anything hard here for us to do. Just the fact that there might be a lot of manual computations, you understand, in tracking some of these things I mentioned. You understand? There might be a lot of manual computation. You have to take data from manual sources to merge with whatever you have online. But that of purchase order, inventory, and the rest of it, it can be automated if you have a good system in your organization. So that being said, let's move to our Ogande Oga. Yes, the people's analyst. Yes. Actually, I call them the ritualists of every business because they are too secretive. They are very secretive. Yes. And like I said before, that's what makes them secretive, is because they hold the substance that can break every business. There was a story I heard one time of a man that because of the person working under him had his certificate in another country, and he started working there. Before you know it, they were paying the other one higher than him. So he had to stumble on this guy's payroll documents at some point. You know what he did that day? Immediately he saw the payroll of the other guy. He just went into his office, he closed his laptop, he carried his bag, and he left the company. So if you're not somebody that is very confidential, you might not excel in this place. Yes. So you work with attendants. You are the ones that are cutting our salaries. That's why I call you people ritualists. You are cutting our salaries. You put rules. If this person comes late 3 times in a month, they have come out something from the salary. So your job is to monitor staff levels, track their performance, workforce trend, support workforce planning. You also track trainings here. You also track a lot of things. Um, Most of the times, uh, in businesses like KFC, they have a lot of attrition. The rate at which people go and come is really alarming in situations like that. So you have to track that. You need to brace yourself up for Japa seasons. Yes, we call them Japa seasons. Those Japa seasons, like the August, September, October. You just see our Gen Zs, they will fall sick and you find them. When you send them a message, are you not coming in today? You just see a video on your WhatsApp, welcome to London. So that's how some of them roll. So you need to brace up for those Japa seasons. So your role is informing management. Oh, last time during this period we had high rate of attrition. So what can we do? They'll tell you, okay, this is what we'll do. Let's hire some people and try to hire. Just start, let's hire. Let's just do as if we want to hire them. Don't give them the role yet, but they should just be there. So that once these other people leave for their UK, ones that are in Nigeria will continue. So many of them do all that. So that's how a lot of these businesses roll so that they don't lose track. Because during those seasons, honestly speaking, it's really tough. If you don't take care, um, you find yourself in deep waters. So, um, another thing that HR attracts is the staffing cost. Yes, staffing cost, very important. So there's always a ratio of staff to revenue, staff to revenue, staff to revenue. So many businesses try as much as they can to keep this on a low level. So our staff to revenue ratio should be at 8%. We don't want it to be more than 8%. In fact, uh, 8% is even high. We want it to be 6%. Why can't we do 5%? So you guys are involved in a lot of firing decisions because if you come out tomorrow and say, okay, we can reduce it to 5%, so they will ask you, what do we do? You start mentioning that you need to create a strategy for assigning people to stores. Let's say each store, if the size of this store based on their revenue, and now you have another categorization based on either revenue or based on the size, the per square meter now of the store. We will be assigning four staff, five staff to those big stores. While the smaller stores can say, okay, since their revenue is low, you can assign just three. Once you do that, and the organization sees that they actually have 10 in certain stores that you want them um, to keep five people there. My dear, don't use eye to see certain things like this. What they will start doing, that's when you start hearing that, oh, this person, he has left to, he said he's no longer needed here. So that's why you need to be careful in this department, how you try to remove some of us from work. You understand? You need to be very careful. So your decisions can affect a lot more other people. But we're here to work. So a lot of things happen within the HR room and people's analytics. Other information like staff information, the average rate, age, the average time spent, like the average time people spend on in the company. Is it 2 years plus? That means if I take a job in this company, the they are expecting me to stay for 2 years and I leave. Certain times you also find out that why it is as about 2 years plus is because there are certain people at the very high level that have stayed in these businesses for like 20, 30 years, 40 years. Those ones are no longer going. Then down below, You now find people that are staying 6 months, 3 months, 1 month. So those ones with 30 years will be dragging the average time people have stayed in the companies higher. So it brings the average to 2 years plus. The real average, if you take out those people that have stayed more than, let's say, 10 years, you'll find it out that it is within 6 months to 1 year. So it is also good to track that so that once you know this person is in their maturity stage, you want to fire the person because the person has not resigned. I don't like it. People. I don't like it. People. So now let's go to our marketing department. I like this department because they are kind of like very touche. Their dashboards, if you see, if you are preparing marketing dashboard, it is quite explicit. In fact, you can download the whole GIF, the whole clip art. Before you know, you see boss that is flying, plane that is walking on the floor, just make it look very beautiful because you're in the branding area, you understand? So they are more in tune with campaigns. And also, as a marketing data analyst, you work in hand with the operations data analyst so that in product launch. Now, during the course of these sessions, we'll have one or two product launch, and I'm going to show you how it is done. First, product launch is a very big thing. You might launch a product and it doesn't scale. You might actually launch a product and it scales higher. So there are like a method to it. First, you need to know the customer's insight of this product. Yes. So there is like a test run in a confined space. You've launched this product, you've tested it within the organization. Now you want to see customers' feedback. What do? You create forms. When those forms come, you analyze different kinds of data this time. You analyze context from customers and see how it can help you. Will this product scale? Will it not scale? So it is important that as a marketing data analyst, you are up to your task in making sure you are somebody that reaches out and knows how marketing really works. This point, you need to know a little bit about branding theories, marketing theories that will assist you seriously, that will assist you in making those firm decisions in marketing. So you need to also know what channels, like I kind of like joined the e-commerce and marketing together. They are both different departments, but I like joining them together. Reason being that they kind of like work hand in hand. If you take them out in the business, like if you keep them separate, um, something might happen, and uh, you end up regretting it. There might be no synergy, communication within the two, and when there is no communication, imagine your whole project dies. Now, let me say this: there are certain times you want to create a product launch, and the product launch follows through a whole lot of process. Yes, I already did. I already did. I'm going to share that now. I'm going to share that now inside the group so that we'll move over to that once this. Okay, let's pause here for a little bit and take questions. I know a lot of you want to ask questions. Let's ask questions for the remainder of our time here.